Okay, I have to say a huge thanks to you, and that this podcast exists because of you. And the Mental Fitness Blueprint is the most personal thing I've ever created, so it felt right to offer it here first to all of you. The first 50 founding members will shape what this becomes. So if you want to be part of the first 50, details are in the show notes or at mchampagne.com. Who are you?
It's a $1 million question. Who are we? I think for me is like more, who am I becoming? Because
I love that.
They say the saying is change is the only constant, right? So yeah, like once a year, my wife and I sit and then we always think, okay, 12 months, what do you want to have learned to become? What do you have changed less of, more of? And I think a lot of people, they focus on the money or on their weight or on their muscles or the training, but I think the mental part define a lot of the rest of the things. So I think who we're becoming is a very important part, and we always divide it in 4 parts, which is the relation part between us, the relationship with our friends and family. Now we've added also, because we are more vocal online, we also have discussion like how do we want to express ourselves online, like in a more broad way. So the relation part is very important. The second is the health part, like what do we want to achieve in 12 months from a health point? Is there something we want to work on? And then the third is financial part. Where do we invest our finances in? And then the fourth is, what are we going to give this year? In what? In which charities, which projects that are not money making? And I think by focusing on these 4 things,
That's beautiful.
You definitely you grow as a person and you change as a person.
Yeah. So what's the, let's just stay on that for a little bit, because that's, I love it. And I love that you do it with your wife. I mean, a lot of people do these, whether they're year end or the start of year, you can pick whatever time frame. I think a lot of people do them individually. And I love the fact that you do it with your wife, especially knowing that you're working together and so forth. And obviously you have a family. I mean, it's really important, right? What's it look like, practically speaking? Do you guys have a ritual of some sort set up? Like, do you go away? Do you do that over the course of a few days? Or like, what does it look like?
This year we couldn't get away because we have a 6 months old baby that require a lot of attention.
Yeah.
So we didn't, but usually we combine it with a gut reset where we chill and then just clean and take out all the noise of food. And also 40% of your energy goes to digestion, right? So when you take that part away, you feel euphoric, you feel more energized, and you have less brain fog. It's just you're more focused. So usually we do it at the same time. This year, no, it was not. So yeah, and regarding my wife, well, I think your partner is maybe the most important decisions, choosing your partner for your health, but also for your finances and for your mental health, right? So I think that's a very, very important decision. A lot of people in biohacking or medical congresses, they ask me, so what is the number one biohack I can do? And I always tell them, well, deciding who you marry is the number one. Yeah.
Amazing. I thought, no, before we get into some of the topics, there's so many angles we can go down, because you've had such an interesting and diverse background of working in many different industries, different countries, different people, and so forth. But I feel like there's one story, and I heard this story from an interview you did, I think it was probably back in 2018, where you shared a story around this moment in Thailand that really, I think, shifted or set a mindset perspective for you. And I'll be honest, when you were sharing the story, I was projecting forward where that story was going to go, and it wasn't where it landed. So I'd love for you to share that story.
Yeah, like when we were in Thailand, my sister and my mother, you mean that story? Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
Every year we go to Thailand, nowadays multiple times a year, and we do, as I told you, a chill, a gut reset, just switching off. And that year I rented near Krabi, near the south of Thailand, a small island. It's a lot of people can do that, and it's amazing. It's white sand beach. You walk in the blue sea, and you walk like for 300 meters, and the water still is on your knees. Right? It's like magical. You see all the fishes and all the colors. And that year I was laying in a hangmat and hammock and reading a book, and suddenly I got a phone call from my lawyer. He said, "Look, I don't care where you are. You take now the plane and come back to Amsterdam." So with lead in my feet, I went to my sister and mother. I told them, "Look, I have good news, bad news. Good news is the bad news is I have to leave. The good news is everything's paid for. You stay here. In 5-6 days, I'm back." So
Yeah, because this was a new
yes, it was
business you had started,
my
right,
first
at that
building.
time?
It was
Yeah.
my first building that I bought.
Okay.
At the Klerkstraat 63. I never forget that. It's in the center of Amsterdam. And it got squatted. Now, for the people that don't know what means squatting, in Netherlands back then, it was legal if a building is empty to enter there, call the cops, and tell them, "Look, I've squatted the building. Now I am the rightful tenant." And you don't pay rent.
It's wild.
So it came from the 60s, from the social time where many thousands of houses were empty and people needed houses. So the government legalized that. So long story short, my sister said, "No, no, 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 I'm going to stay here." My mother said, "No, we all go back." We came all together here. So my sister didn't like it, but plane to Bangkok, Bangkok to Amsterdam. I landed in Bangkok, and in that night, in 2004, on 24 December, the tsunami killed 230,000 people. So because of that problem, we got saved, right? So my
Yeah.
sister, like, she was flabbergasted. We were all very emotional. Everyone in the plane obviously was very emotional. And we arrived, and my mother cooked food for the squatters. We went there. They were very confused when we gave them flowers and food.
Yeah.
And we told them we are the owners, as I'm the owner of this building. They thought it was a trick. We showed them the air tickets, the plane ticket. We showed them. I mean, they knew, obviously it was everywhere in the news. So yeah, it was a very friendly handover, actually. And what I've learned there is the number one longevity hack in life, the most unquantified one, is becoming a master of meaning, becoming a master of
Mm.
meaning to external factors. Because the only people that don't have problems, that don't have slaps in their life, are dead people. Everyone else have. And me now, with my wife and the medical team, treating like thousands of patients. And yes, we give them stem cells and peptide and hormone restoration and gene therapy, and you name it, the newest technology, the best technology. But whenever we see a very wealthy person with mental fog that is emotional on what's happening on the external side, it's a very difficult recovery path. So I believe that everyone, their duty for themselves, but mostly for their family, for their friends, for everyone around you, becoming a master of meaning is a must. Why? Because as an entrepreneur, it's a myth that you don't bring your work at home. You know, you,
Yeah. Yeah.
that's not accurate. You always bring your home. You had a bad day at work, you're going to bring it at home because you live with it. As an entrepreneur, you wake up with it, you sleep with it, you eat with it, you drink with it. So it's everywhere, it's all the time with you. So yeah, it's going to affect you. So you becoming a master of meaning, you will just navigate life in general and teach that to your children. And it's a whole dynasty that you're actually opening up, because your way of reacting will, if you like it or not, will trigger your kids, will trigger your wife, and that will influence their kids and their kids. So whatever you're doing today, you're not doing it for yourself. You're not doing it for your children. You're doing it for a whole dynasty, right? A whole generation.
I like that. I like that a lot. I'm glad you brought that up, because one of the things that I noticed just in doing the research, and as well as when we had our initial call, of course, and we'll put all the links in the show notes, but people, if they look you up, they'll see a lot of folks, especially your Instagram, there's beautiful education and insight and practices and solutions around health and longevity, right? Which is, something you're heavily invested in, I think, probably
Mm-hmm.
financially and mentally. But also during just the research, I noticed that you have a very diverse background of I'll maybe call them interests, and which maybe led into businesses and so forth, which strikes me when it comes to, meaning as well as mindset and so forth, for people to kind of spot patterns, which is what I kind of see. You're like a master pattern recognize, and Tony
Mhm.
Robbins talks a lot about this, right? Like you could start mastering pattern recognition. That's more than half of the game, kind of thing. I'm wondering, like, where did that come up for you? Like, where did you learn how to do that?
That's actually a very good question. I learned that from Tony. I was I remember in the refugee camp in Rotterdam, and there was one book that was translated to French, and it was Personal Power from Tony.
Okay.
And back then I could read only French. So I took that book and started reading it. And that gave me just another perspective, like how to look at things, look at problems, look at challenges, look at yourself. Brian Tracy also, his books also gave me that pattern recognition. And then just having mentors that I saw that every time I have a mentor, it speed up so many things. So I become, I became an expert in finding and convincing mentors to mentor me. So I think
Do you remember the first mentor you
I mean,
intentionally
the
went
first
went after?
mentor that I'm very, very grateful for that she did it for free for many, many years is my mother. You know, So she mentored
Yes.
me since I remember I was 5 years old, and she put me in her lap and she started giving me books about sexual education. And I knew I was not supposed to know these things. And
Yeah.
she's a microbiologist, so she took the angle of biology, and that gave me this feeling of I belong into that. I am. She was present with me, right? So a mentor is someone
Yeah.
that made a lot of mistakes and that is making you avoid them, right? So
Yeah.
I think your parents are your first mentors, and as a parent, I think it's your obligation to mentor your children. Yeah, that's obviously
Yeah.
Tony was my mentor for many, many decades, and I volunteered in his organization, and I've benefited a lot. Brian Tracy, I hired him as my mentor. We wrote a book together around investment after him mentoring me.
Mm.
And Robert Allen was my mentor, but many people also that were not famous. Charlie Munger. Charlie Munger is
Yeah.
one of my favorite mentors. Mental models. He taught me the power of having mental models. Instead of giving me fish, he taught me how to fish. He never met me.
Mm.
He doesn't know he was my mentor, but he was
Yeah, yeah.
definitely my mentor.
But that is the beauty of today's world too, right? I mean, not even today's world. There even in the past. I mean, that's why the power of books, and even, here we are recording, podcasts, and we're, ocean separates us, and a lot of land as well, and we're making this happen. But there still is like nothing that replaces kind of the
Yeah.
physical book. Like, it stood the
Yes.
test of time. And I think it's of course the knowledge in there, but also just the fact that, like what you had. I mean, imagine you didn't have that book from Tony Robbins when you were in the refugee campaign. Who knows
Yes.
where your
Yes.
mind would have
Yeah.
went, right?
Yeah.
What was that next step for you then?
Look, Orkan Ibadov is the world memory champion, and he's our patient, and I'm his mentor, and he's also my mentor when it's about brain health. And he said something that is very true. Like, knowledge is not anymore power. Someone in India, in the suburb
Mm.
of any village, has access to the same knowledge as you and me, right? As the same free knowledge.
Yeah.
So it's not anymore knowledge. It's more access to networks and accountability and execution. And so access to resources other than network. And it's actually more killing any distraction and knowing which button to press next. Because if you go now on podcast and on YouTube, you can get lost just by reading. And I see that in many congresses, the same people
Yeah.
going there, listening to us, and they're not in execution form because it's just too much information. So I think information is not anymore power. It's knowing which information to choose first before going to the next one.
Yes. There's a question I wanted to ask you about that, so I'm glad you brought it up. And for me, I mean, I'm a bit biased because this year I always like to pick a one word kind of
Mm-hmm.
intention to set the energy for the year. And this year for me, it's the word is
Mm.
precision, and it's for the reasons that you're mentioning. I feel like there's a lot of opportunity. There's a lot of things that you can kind of chase and explore, and a lot of that stuff probably lead to great things, and of course others will fizzle out, but you only have so much
Mm-hmm.
energy and time. So I'm just trying to stay, and I have a bracelet here that's red on purpose. Whenever I look at it, it's a reminder, like, are you being intentional, and are you focused on those top three projects or initiatives in those relationships? And already it's been incredibly helpful. And what I wanted to ask you about around that topic, when we first met, you had shared this concept that I wrote this down. It's the 2 hours, one question, twice a
Mm,
week. And it was this thinking
mm,
time principle that I find so fascinating, because now this is well over 500 interviews now on this show. And I would say this concept of just
mm.
thinking and using this beautiful brain of ours to take time to think comes up over and over again. But it's almost like this hidden
Yes.
superpower, because most people think, like, the successful people in the world, that they're back-to-back meetings, or they're doing this and they have all this staff and so forth, but which sometimes is true. But I would say what they're doing is exactly what you're suggesting. You're prioritizing time to actually let the mind sit, right? Like, let the pond kind of settle, so you can see
Uh-huh.
the bottom versus this, like, murky water
Yes.
kind of
I
thing.
learned it's not my own, by the way. I stole it from Keith Cunningham.
Sure. But we steal all this stuff from
Yes,
everyone.
it's
He probably
and
stole it from
he
someone.
taught me that if you wanna make big decisions, you have to implement thinking time. Most people, he called them, are tactical rats, which is they think that action will give them there. And yes, no action will definitely not get you there, but action that has a plan and that you thought about it intentionally with the minimum amount of knowledge you have will definitely get you there faster with less errors. You're gonna make errors anyway. So that's why whenever I have a
Yeah,
big decision to make and several ones, you want to put them in that thinking time and then take one and just think about it for 2 hours. Yeah, that saved me a lot of mistakes, and I still made a lot of them.
sure. So what is that? Is that
No,
journaling, or is that a
yes,
long walk,
yeah.
or
So what I
something
do,
else?
my daughter has to sleep a couple of times a day. So what I do after
Yeah,
breakfast or after lunch, I take her, she falls asleep, and I just walk for an hour, and I take one question and I think about that question 1 hour. It can be something very simple, like, okay, it's the birthday of my wife. How can I surprise her the next week? To,
yeah,
okay, how can I get the maximum out of my team without telling them? How can I'm going to focus this year to educate them? There is this business deal
yeah,
and there is another business deal. Does this align with actually where we're going? And it looks amazing on paper, but is it actually amazing? So there's so many
yeah.
things you can think of every day. By having that, now I do it on a day-to-day basis because there's too many decisions and I'm less in the work. But
Sure.
back then it was twice per week.
Okay. Have you noticed, since you've been doing this for quite some time, for you, I know this is probably personalized for you, but I'm just curious, have you noticed a certain kind of timing to the practice? Like, is it, that, walk for 20 minutes as an example to let things settle and so forth, but over time that kind of there's a sweet spot
Yeah.
there. And I'm just asking this because I noticed this in the
Mhm.
sauna, that after 20 minutes, usually my mind settles enough, and then something flips in my brain where I get into this massive
Mhm.
gratitude state. And, like, it feels like nothing can stop me in terms of whatever the intentions are and so forth. And it's like this almost a euphoria for the next 10 or 15 minutes. And so I know now, like, minimum
Yeah.
do the 20 minutes, and you'll be rewarded
Yeah.
in that
Yeah. It's a
sense.
very good point. Don't take your phone when you do the thinking part. So I always leave the phone at home
Mm,
and then I walk with her. And I know what I'm going to think about. And yeah, it takes 20 minutes. It takes
yeah,
sometimes 1 hour before I think, oh, wait a minute.
sure.
So
Yeah,
yeah, it takes longer. Like before getting in the flow, it takes longer. And I do have a framework to think about this, but definitely it takes longer than most people think. And unfortunately, nowadays it's much more difficult to focus than 20 years ago.
yeah, of course. But if you do this, you commit to this. I still think this is the superpower of our world moving forward. because I mean, there's no
No,
shortage of tools and
knowledge.
technology and so forth that, right? But I still think that it's those connections that us as humans can surface and then execute all of that with the latest and
Yeah.
greatest tech, of course, and setups. Let's not underestimate the human part of what we've
Yes,
got.
I mean, it's a real thing. The real pandemic is not COVID or fertility. It's attention, distraction. That's the real pandemic. And
Yeah. Okay, we're going to jump into that in a minute. Why don't we just, so people have some context, was there a question or a series of questions that piqued your curiosity to jump into the
mm,
longevity space, not just from a personal perspective, but of course, you've got multiple clinics and you're helping a lot of people. I mean, that's different than, of course, you're personally interested for, probably obvious reasons, but to invest, a lot of your time and energy in having a significant impact for many people.
yeah, I mean, there are always, there's a framework where it needs to help a lot of people. The world need it because I'm in longevity since more
Yeah,
than 25 years. Back then, it wasn't called longevity. It wasn't even called biohacking. So it was not needed. It was not marketed. So that's number one. Number two is you need
yeah,
to make money in it so that you can make it sustainable. And number three, you need to like it. Like it's, I don't know who said that, but the one that will outperform everyone is the one that will love that the most, love that job the most, right? So, and I was doing this for 25 years just as a hobby, like going to medical conferences just because
okay,
I like it. Well, that was not my job. So, um, and I think now I'm just in the right place, the right time, and it's a hype. And I like to jump into things that that will go up. Like when it was AI, when it was the cannabis and the CBD sector, real estate. They're all, there's always a hype that starts and then it goes up and then exits at the peak. This is a personal love relationship. So I don't think I'm
yeah.
gonna exit it, but yeah, I love helping people, and I've been doing it for like 2 decades for free. And now my wife and I get paid for it, so it's definitely for me part. Yeah.
Sure. So what does that look like? Like, so you're, again, because I'm just really fascinated around the diversity of your background and the businesses. So I know you're still, or I'm making an assumption you're still involved in some of those sectors as well. Maybe just not as maybe it's a little bit more passively. But when it comes to, from my from what I can see, you're giving a lot of time and energy, of course, to the health space. So I imagine at one point you had to make the decision, all right, I'm going to put some of these things over here and maybe slow down my time allocation or energy allocation and really go for it in the longevity space. I'm interested in that
Mm.
pivot point there. Like, what for you, what allows you to say yes and go and do that? Like, what makes it clear and, maybe gives you the courage or the confidence to just to
Yeah.
go for
So
it?
1.5 years ago, actually, it was not that long ago, from a commercial point of view, but 1.5 years ago, on 28th of August, uh, I I decided, okay, I'm gonna do 12 months only one thing. And if it's only one thing, if it's not real estate, if it's not any other businesses, if it's not traveling, what is that thing? And I chose to
Yeah.
do this. And first 5 months, nothing happened. Actually, up to of May, nothing happened. Like I was working every day on it and researching and posting and talking and going to congresses, and not much happened. And then from 9th of May, that's when things started to go much faster. And
Hmm. Well, what happened?
I went like step by step more viral every day online. I got requests to speak at events, and um, I started the telehealth clinic instead of only USA, also UAE and Europe. So I got attracted better doctors, attracted people that were more aligned, let's say, with my philosophy, because I was posting every day about my thoughts, about what I believe in, what I think health should be. I think something before I was thinking, okay, I'm going to do this for only for 3 months. I said, whatever happened, I'm going
Yeah.
to do it until 28th of August next year, if I have success or no success. So, and it took much longer than I thought. And there was some moment I thought, wow,
Yes, that
yes,
was
yes.
critical.
So that, I think, is something that most people undervalue, the power of 12 months focus on one thing, not two things, not three things. And the danger is after you get success. When most people, when they get a mini success, they start to diversify. One of my very good friends, Chris Reynolds, who have interviewed the most billionaires in the world, I asked him, I said, what did you learn from interviewing all these billionaires? He said, they're not smart people. That's what I've learned. I said, what do you mean? I said, like, I thought if you're a billionaire, you're super smart, you're like on a different vibration. The difference that I discovered is that between a multimillionaire and a billionaire is that the billionaire, once he become millionaire or multimillionaire, he doubled down instead of diversifying. He doubled down on that tiny business that he has for another 10 years. So that's the difference. So I thought, when I heard that, I said, let me try this game, the game of focus. So that's how it started.
Oh, it's incredible. So for you then, the thing that you were focusing on, was it primarily showing up and sharing online? I think you said this last time we spoke, that that's our new version of real estate, right?
Yes.
Digital real estate. And say what you want about social media. I mean, like anything, there's positives and negatives, but I think there's also an element that, like, don't stick your head in the sand and not pretend that this is where the attention is. So, do it in a way that I think that you feel proud about. And hey, this is why we're speaking. I mean, one of your videos really caught my attention, and I'm like, I've got to reach out to Noah. I mean, this really landed.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
No, thank you for saying yes.
To be honest with you, it's because I come from a Calvinistic background, and I don't know if you know anything about it. So
what does that mean?
Calvin was a priest, and he kind of structured the Netherlands. And I grew up in Amsterdam, in Netherlands. So we are Dutch people. We are people who don't want to show what you have, who you are. We are always like, stay normal. That's already crazy. So by doing anti my upbringing, that was going out of my comfort zone. And I always like to rediscover my comfort zone, from being a Wim Hof trainer and going and live with him for a couple of weeks in minus 30 degrees Celsius, to running the marathon when I was 15. I always wanted to go out of my comfort zone, and I was always searching for that. So I thought, okay, what is the next? Okay, I'm not online. So let me go full power on that. Let me write a book. Let me write protocols. So I did all these things in that 12 months, fully focused on one topic, right? So having that did definitely give me in contact with people that I could learn from. And it only, if I extrapolated, it only made my growth much faster.
So where are we at today? I mean, we've obviously been hinting at some of the work that you're doing, but I'd love to just get your take on what it is that you do.
So my wife and I, we thought, okay, what is the 2080 of longevity? What is the 2080 of health? And then we thought, no, that's still too much. 20% is too much for someone. Most high achievers, they're not lazy to not work on their health. They are just maxed out on their time. They're maxed out on their obligation.
Yeah.
They're maxed out on their attention. So instead of 20%, we thought, what is the 20% of the 20%, which is only 4%, but which will give you the 80 or the 80, which is 64%. So imagine you work only 4%, but you get 64% outcome. That's not bad, right? So, and we found out that there are not many things. There are just a couple of things that because you can do so many, you can do stem cells, and you can do hormones, and you can do peptides, and you can do guts, you can do resets, you can do EBU and unispheresis and all these modalities, a hyperbaric chamber, an ice bath, and breath work, and you name it, you can do it. Like for most people, it's just not doable to do 2-3 hours a day, all these things. You can do meditation and your morning routine and whatnot. But what if someone has only 20 minutes? Everyone has 20 minutes. What if you have 20-30 minutes a day? And that's what we went into it. And it's mostly metabolic problems, right? Your insulin sensitivity. And that's why when you get older, you suddenly change. You think, what the heck? Who's that guy or woman in the mirror? So body-wise, energy-wise, sexuality, performance-wise, like all these things, they start changing when you're 35, 40. It used to be 50s, but now it's becoming younger and younger. So my wife and I worked on creating a protocol for all our patients, and now we are democratizing that by giving it to the world. I think it's yeah.
So Noah, is it just, it's just on following how you started that conversation, is it focusing, like putting 100% focus on the extra 4%? Is that what you're
No,
saying? And then you get
not on the extra 4%,
no,
on the first 4%.
the
Yes.
first 4%.
No. So what is the
Okay, got you.
4% that you can
Got
do?
you.
Yeah.
And the
The right
right
4%
4%.
that will move the needle. That most people don't want to be 100% healthy. They say, look, if I am 50% better, I'm a happy chap. Right? So what is that?
Yeah,
How can we get the 50% by using the Pareto principle? So we went and we studied the data. We
got
studied
you.
the people that never get sick, the people that are always sick, the people with genetic diseases that are giving it to their children. And we put all these data with my background of AI and with her background and my background into naturopathy and her medical background. And we created this protocol that is now really helping a lot of people. And people are coming for so many diseases and just need to change a couple of things, not a lot of things. That's what we are
Yeah.
now doing, and we are implementing it in physical clinics. So we signed up for in 11 locations to start the clinic. So we started in Dubai, in Abu Dhabi, in Saudi Arabia. Now we are in Greece to open one here, and we're going to go also to Southeast Asia. So yeah, that's our focus for the next
Incredible.
12 months.
And what are some of the starting points? Just to kind
To
of
move the
tease us a
needle, you
little
mean?
bit over here. Yeah, yeah.
Inflammation is a big thing. And your grandfather had not even 10% of the inflammation that you and I have. And the reason is because now we are being
Mm,
bombarded from everywhere, from water, from the microplastic in the water, from the anti-conceptive pill that our women are
yeah,
urinating back into our water and you're showering in it. Your kids are showering in it.
yeah.
It's
It's
crazy.
wild.
Endotoxins, from the blue light, from 3G, Wi-Fi, from the pesticide and herbicides. You name it, it is there, right? So that's why 21st century problems need 21st century solutions. But not many people have the time to do everyday chelation therapy and taking the toxins from your soft tissue and bones and doing all these protocols. Just too much for most people. Usually the people that do everything are
Yeah,
usually very, very, very sick people where there is no point of return. They cannot do any more 10, 20% better. But for you and me,
yeah,
4%
yeah,
is, you can do a couple of things. Now, what are these things? Definitely eliminating of toxins, a protocol that's simple. To do that, that will help already a lot. Chlorella, like having, for example, a type of binder. Chlorella is a binder, and having that a couple of days per week. Optimizing hormone.
what is that? Is that a
Yeah, it's a
supplement of
green
some sort?
powder. It's an algae. It's a very
Okay.
specific type of algae that binds to toxins in your body and take it out. Optimizing your gut.
I've had this
Yeah,
actually
it's
before,
disgusting.
and this makes sense. It's disgusting, but and also, but here's where you know it works. I remember, and my co-author Kelly is the one that tipped me off on this, and she's like, just FYI, like at one point she was on it for maybe 5 days or something, these little tablets, and she's like, I started to smell like BO essentially. So then I forgot about that. And I remember I was traveling back from someplace and it's not like I was running to the gate or something. I'm like, I think I stink. And it was totally though, but it was a
Exactly.
detoxification,
It's your body getting
right?
rid,
Of those
getting through the
tablets.
skin. Your skin is the biggest detox organ. So and I
Yeah.
will not advise the tablets, by the way, but that's another discussion.
Okay.
Yeah, I advise the powder, but
Okay.
definitely having that on a day-to-day basis will definitely help you. And after a while, it takes usually 6 months before you're fully detoxed. And that's a simple process.
Yeah.
Everyone can do
Yeah.
that.
Then you don't
Yeah,
stink for
after
the
that,
rest of your
you'll
life.
stink less. But like heavy metals, toxins, definitely the elimination of it because it's entering in your body if you like it or not. It's like
Yeah.
inflation. If you like it or not, it exists. So better deal with it.
Hmm. Yeah.
That-
But where do you start, Noah? Like I feel because it feels like it's everywhere. I mean, I know in our household we're doing we're more
Mhm.
intentional, of course. Like I'm sure we're still being exposed to this, but do you like just to get people started, do you have you noticed a system
Yes.
or a perspective
Yes.
that's helpful?
My depends how serious you are about this. The simplest, and I love the
Yeah.
KISS principle, the keep it stupidly simple, which is
Okay.
that's
Yeah.
why I mentioned chlorella. Just one glass of chlorella per day, and that's it. And forget about it. And just do it consistently every day. If you want to go deeper into that, I mean, my advice is to hire a mentor. Hire a mentor for like you have to think like this. You have a wealth manager, you have a mentor for your finances, you have a mentor for your education, you have a mentor for your teeth management, but you don't have a
Yeah.
mentor for your health, an architect that will help you. Look, this first 3 months of the year, we're gonna do XYZ. Then we're gonna do one, two, three. And you need that. Nowadays, because of the world, look, your grandfather didn't have this problem. My grandfather ignorance was truly a blessing. Now ignorance is is the sentence where you come to the doctor. You say, "Doctor, I don't understand. I train 4 times a week. How can I get cancer? I
Yeah.
eat quite healthy. How can I become pre-diabetic?" That's the ignorance.
Yeah.
That's the price nowadays of ignorance. So
Yeah.
you definitely don't want to be ignorant in that part, right? So and
Yeah.
this inflation, by the way, happens everywhere. Like 200 years ago, if you could read and write, big chance you become millionaire. Now, good luck getting a cleaning job, right? So there is inflation in everything, in
Mhm.
knowledge, in health, in money, way more than 200 years ago. So you want to be mindful and proactive into it and not let, oh, I'll do this later.
Yeah. Well, and I like I mean, and this is actually the post that led to us speaking that really hit home for me. And I think it proves this point because first, before I share, because I want to read a few of the lines that you shared in that one. But I mean, if you take outside of health and you just look at, business or really anything, I mean, if you're studying the greats or people that are doing well, they're usually part of a group. To your point, they have mentors. It's like how we started this conversation. You're reading the books, you're learning, you're not doing it
Mhm.
on your own, right? And health, which I mean, I'm sure we're both biased in the right way. I mean,
Mhm.
it's everything. Until you don't have your health, then all of a sudden, it becomes the number one
100%.
priority kind of thing. And that's what your post is all about. I loved it because I'll paraphrase a bit, but you said something to the effect of, if I can give you 10 more years, what's
Mhm.
that worth to you? And because people automatically, okay, well, what's that going to cost me? How do I need to
Mhm.
invest and so forth? And then you flipped it, and this is so true. You said, but you're actually already
Mhm.
paying for this, right? You're already paying for your health when it comes to sleeping
Mhm.
4 hours, a night, and just like grinding and crushing through. Like don't kid yourself. There's a
Yeah.
cost to that, right?
Yes.
You're paying when you eat food your cells can't even process, or you're putting yourself in chronic, inflammatory states. So again, like, let's not kid ourselves. We are paying
100%.
for it, and it's just a matter of where you want to put that
Yeah,
payment.
choose your struggle. Like you're gonna
Exactly.
struggle not being able to play with your kids, not being able to take care of your parents, not having the energy to make love to your wife, to your partner. That's also a struggle. Waking up at 5 a.m. before the kids
Yeah.
go training is also a struggle. Saying no to what you think is delicious is also a struggle. So you're gonna struggle anyway. Just choose your struggle. And every price has a price.
Yeah. Yeah. That's well said. Really well said. Last thing I want to really chat with you about, or just ask you how this all links to maybe the whole story that you've shared. You've lived and worked and travel all around the world. What does that do for you? And can you give us a bit of the why behind that?
I mean, it makes you very open to cultures. It makes you less also that you have an opinion on something. The more I travel, the more I think, wow, like I have more of wows. Like traveling, it need to be part of any
Yeah.
educational system. To be honest, with you, it need to be obliged in high schools. So traveling, that's what it taught me. It taught me also that a passport is something very you need to become an expert in having a second or third passport. Obviously, me coming where I come from and having that experience um, made me realize, yeah, Germany is a great country. Well, not if you lived in 45, or 44. Vietnam was an amazing country. Cambodia was amazing. Zimbabwe was an amazing country. Russia was amazing. Like so many amazing countries where people never thought that's going to happen to them. Buenos Aires in Argentina is an amazing country, one of the richest in the world. Venezuela, same thing. In 1960 was the richest country in the world. Look at where we are now. So you want to become an expert
Yeah.
in it's called the 5 Ps, which is it's a whole philosophy of very wealthy people, which you want to be taxed somewhere, you want to live somewhere else, you want to make your money somewhere else, you want to have different passports, at least 2 passports. So it's that's what it taught me. And it taught me actually it's very simple. The world is huge.
Yeah.
You can go and live here and work there, and now you can live in a country that is cheaper and that has better air, but make money in a place where they pay you better. So you can.
Yeah.
It's that's what it taught me a lot about that.
Well, as you're saying this too, just what comes to mind with your backstory and your mindset around all of this is that it's like you're constantly balancing your monomaniacal focus, right? Which is, the focus for the 12 months to really give this space a good shot to see, if you can pick up traction and so forth. But then also at the same time, like it seems like you've done this in other industries. So it's like you have these chapters, but then these various chapters are in books all around the world. To your point, where you have currencies and real estate and so forth, that to your point, like, yeah, if one country, there's a huge problem, it doesn't completely debilitate
No.
you because you have so it's the balance of diversification with
Yes.
focus.
Yes. Yes.
It's
Yes.
powerful.
Yeah, I mean, look, there is not one, my way is not the way, right? It's just what
Sure.
I learned because of the pain, and pain is a great motivator. So it
Yeah.
motivated me to be very versatile. So will the other person that is a billionaire or multimillionaire that has made all his money from the village agree with that? Maybe not. So I don't say it's the way,
Sure.
but I do think it gives you a type of flexibility, especially now in 2025 and 2026, and in that you can go anywhere and make money online and buy real estate almost anywhere in the world, right? And through Airbnb, I have friends that have Airbnb in countries they never went and visit that country, and everything is managed and it's
Yeah.
going so we live in an amazing time. If you're focused, you can magnify the power of this century, and you will feel that you have more knowledge, more power than the richest man 50 years ago on earth. If not,
Yeah.
you're doomed.
Powerful. Last question for you, Noah. You mentioned you and your wife reflected on the year 2080 and what health could look like. What's what's your final message to us, and like what does that look like for you? When you project yourself forward to 2080, what's making you smile?
Very simple. My daughter. So I discovered that
Mm,
actually I adore kids. So my focus is definitely fertility because we definitely want to have more kids if God allows it, and also education. So my wife is more and more studying how geniuses are under the guidance of Orkan Ibarov, the world memory champion, who studied more than 500 geniuses, how they became a genius, were they born as a genius? And the more we study that, we more discover that every child is born as a genius. And the parent and the educational system
wow.
is killing the genius out of the child. And
Yes.
so we are focusing, she is focusing more on that. I am more on the medical side, but it gives us so much pleasure to understand how the brain of a child, like, are there any things you can do to not kill the genius of that child being unlocked? Because sometimes you just need to do nothing and just leave it and it magnify itself.
Yeah.
The upside will do itself. So that's what being very excited for us.
Oh, I mean, as someone who's a fan of just great quality questions, that is a beautiful question to be working on and
Yes.
purpose, right? To put that kind of work into the
Yeah.
world. No, this has
Thank
been
you,
a lot
Mark.
of fun. I hope the conversation went well for you. Probably a little bit different than uh, a lot of your other interviews. I know you go pretty deep, and I'd encourage people If you're interested in peptides and longevity and kind of everything around there, there's a ton of conversations with Noah, providing that expertise as well. We wanted to do a little bit different here and go behind the human when it comes to how you think and the questions you ask. So hopefully we covered that. But just a huge thanks, Noah, for you doing you and you and your wife just, just putting so much energy in this world and in such an important topic.
Thanks, Mark.
So thank you.